hear me now? Thumbs up if you can hear me, yeah. All right, you ready for more? I'll talk, yeah, that was a great introduction to what I'm going to talk about. So I'm going to talk about technology and trust and content. So of course I'll tell the secret about the 80K story, but first I will tell a bit about myself and the industry I work in from a Norwegian perspective. So, I'm a tech CEO, but I'm not from Silicon Valley. I'm from a Norwegian valley, actually the coldest place in Norway, -40 in the winter. So this is better. I started as a field reporter, and my background was as a coder when I was 12. So quickly discovered the power of combining these two things into online publishing. So I've been doing online publishing all my life, since the internet came in '95. So started a lot of online newspapers, magazines, and B2B sites, 20, 30 of them. So, but as we know, there are challenges in publishing, as we heard. Clickbait, fake news, sensationalism. I'll talk a bit about that. So, I'm obsessed about quality content because quality is what is the secret behind this story as well. So I'll tell you a bit about that. So, but first, a bit about Norway. So yeah, it's a really small country. Well, it's stretchy, but we have 5 million inhabitants. So when I tell you about numbers, you can remember the number 260 because India is 260 times bigger than Norway, okay? So you can add up every number with 260. So we're obsessed by nature, of course. It's a beautiful country, but we're also very technical. So everybody drives EV cars, and we have really high penetration of mobile internet, and everybody has a smartphone, of course. So I will start with this question. Why did you become a publisher in the first place? Because I think it's a challenge. The reason why at least I became a publisher, editor, journalist, was to play a difference. So we want to publish quality content. We want to do a good job for our readers, and we take pride in doing that. We want to create the best possible article out there, and as we learned earlier today, that will gain traffic, that will drive traffic to your article if you do it properly, if we follow the SEO recipe, for instance. We do that, and it works. So we are committed to producing quality, and our readers expect it. So it's not that BuzzFeed or the likes is a problem in itself. But it's a problem if you spend all your time speculating about distribution, because then you end up at the wrong place. You should spend time speculating about content and how to make that content last long and create value for readers, so they want to come back. Because the readers you trick in, they don't stay. And also Google detects that and removes you from the search listings. So for me, journalism is about being curious. Tell stories, find answers. You don't have to be a war reporter or a criminal reporter to do that. You can do it in everyday content as well. But it really requires a commitment. You can do it in fashion, transportation, whatever. So I think it's pretty clear that journalism is under attack. We don't have the play field from ourselves anymore. And I'm only talking digital here because, as I said, I'm working digital native. It's not that some of our titles have print editions, they have, but the content is written online and then published from online to paper. This is the only graph I have, but look at it. 30 years ago, the trust in, this is TV, the trust in newspaper and TV was high. It was over 45% on the highest graph there. So one generation after, it's plummeting, it's 11. So what's happened with the trust in media? Well, this is an example of fake news. So in a small country like Norway, we trust our local media. We're very close to them and we buy a lot of products for them. Keeps us updated on what's happening in our community. So we tend to think fake content is not a problem in our country, but it is on the phones. This video got, as you can see in the screenshot there, got 1.7 million views. So it's a video where someone faked in a pile of cocaine on Zelensky's desk. So it was debunked by Bellingcat and documented that the footage is without the pile. I wouldn't have thought of that without the help of Bellingcat. So another example was the Tom Cruise videos. You might not have seen that because it was viral on TikTok. So maybe this is illegal to show, but but I'll do it anyway. So they came across my feed and I saw it was fake, but I thought it was like Photoshop. I think this is really good Photoshopping, but it isn't. It's manipulated by metaphysic AI.
One, I don't drink. Two, I fly on the side of the plane that's outside.
Oh.
What?
Okay.
So you've probably seen it, right? And it's AI, it's fake, it's of course not Tom Cruise, and it's so difficult when the footage looks so real to tell the difference. And we had all the other examples of image generation now. So, well, that's one threat. Click is another threat. So the trick I've been using a lot of times in a lot of my publications as an editor is to slow down the production. When you tell the reporters to slow down, they get better. Do not write 7 articles in a day, please. Write 1 article, but it has to be good, focusing on making your readers happy and wanting to come back. That also applies to paid users. If you bait the paid users in, they will leave at the next payment term. They will stay for the 10-cent period, but they will go out immediately because they were only after that one thing. So you have to be consistent in quality. Here is 2 basic examples that aren't advanced journalism, but it's 2 examples of high quality that gets traffic because it's done properly. So it's a porridge example from a woman's magazine to the writer. And the source in this article has a PhD in nutritionist. And the other one has written a book about porridge. So the trick is you shouldn't overcook it. It should simmer a bit, but that's not the point. It attracts traffic from Facebook. The other one, remember this is Norway, 400,000 clicks from Google is a lot of clicks in Norway because it's done properly, it's long, and it really answers your questions about COVID. Of course, physical presence is quality as well. This image is from 3 days after occupation of Mariupol in Ukraine, taken by Mislav Chernov. And he risked his life to take this photo of the families that are evacuated in the basement. That's quality. All right. So I wrote a book about this. It's in Norwegian, but I translated it for you here. It's on the right there. But I keep telling my reporters, no single source articles. no zero source articles, because that also exists. You know, the reporter just writing the article himself or herself without talking to anyone. Stop with that. Have 2 or more sources in every article. Explore, explain, investigate. And don't be black and white, because even if you're a tabloid, the truth is in the middle. It's something gray. The world is not black and white. And you have to remember, you're not the playlist. It's not like the users come to your front page and read every story and then leave. They're snacking. So you have to make sure that your content piece is really good. If you get that one chance from Facebook or from news aggregator or social media, you have to represent your value in that single article. It has to be consistent because they're snacking you. All right. So, all right, let me tell about the 8K story then. I know you've been waiting for this. At least you told me in the break. So there are lots of examples. So this is only one example, but it's a good example of how you can do it. It can be done in many ways, but the recipe is the same. As I told you, it has to be consistent with the quality over time, because your readers notice that. So that's the platform. So this picture is Norway. Probably February in Norway. So the politicians made a kind of crazy decision to get rid of all petrol fuel cars by 2025. That happened in 2018. Many thought that was ridiculous and wouldn't happen. But we looked at the facts. This was the Transportation Committee of Norway, and it was decided by the parliament in Norway. So this would happen. Even though you don't believe it, it will happen. So we started an EV site, because it will be a huge demand for information when all these new type of cars will flood into the Norwegian market. So we called the site, I started the site, we called it Elbil24. That means EV car 24. In Norway, 24 is kind of a news metaphor. So we're obsessed by electrical cars, only write about that. Probably one of the best sources in Europe on that, because Norway is one of the leading markets in the world. And we're really obsessed by it. We had 2 different motor car brands at that time, but we decided not to launch the EV project in one of those existing brands. We started a new brand because we didn't want the petrol thinking to drag us behind. Much like starting an online newspaper without having a print edition as a platform. It's much freer position to have. So both of these plans worked out. Well, Norway got rid of the electrical cars, and we launched the site, and it went really well. So this particular story I will tell you about is on this site. We test all the electrical cars on the market, but we also developed this test concept that we called, or at least I translated to English, to the triple test. And that basically means having 3 cars tested at the same time. And that's not the same as testing 3 cars in a row and comparing. It has to be done at the same time, as you can see in the picture, because the readers really want to see them side by side. So it takes 3 reporters, 3 full days to drive the cars, and then there's 2 extra days for additional work to that story. So it's 11 man days and on Norwegian salary to produce that single content in Norwegian. Remember, we're in Norway, 5 million users. We're only writing about electrical cars, so that's our market. Norwegian electrical car interest. So, well, we test them really detailed. So we drive the car, you know, the range of the electric cars are quite huge now. It takes forever to drive the Bentley. We measure how fast it will charge up again, and we measure that against the ratings of the car companies, much like you do with tractors. So we collect our own data, and yeah, we also discovered lots of things. We discovered that the new Toyota EZ4V had a bluff in their range, for instance. It was an international scandal, and they had to remake the car after our test. So that's how we do it. But this is the triple test. So these are the 3 cars, and we put it behind paywall. It's a premium site, so we have daily content that are for free, but we also have every day published at least 1 paid article in addition. The prices are here. I think the prices are more or less like a subscription on a daily newspaper in your country. And we sell the monthly subscription. Well, most of our customers, they go for this option, even though it's the most expensive one, because they get in really cheap, but then the price goes up in the next month. So this is first month for 10 cents, because then we have your credit card, and then we can charge you $10 next month. Is very popular type of subscription. So that's not true. The most popular thing here is not true. It does. So yeah, so the traffic on the site is about 300,000 weekly page views. It's not that big, it's a small site. And here's the math. So I want to show you the math of this story. So lifetime value means the entire income you have for that customer before they exit as a customer. So that is spread out on different products, but lifetime value here is $60. That single article sold 1,443 copies, and the revenue is $86,580. So that's good money, even in Norway. So it costs $4,330 to create that article with Norwegian salary in 11 days for a professional online journalist that are car experts in addition. Still, we have a profit margin of 95% on that. For me, this is a really good example of how profitable it is to invest properly in content. So you can repeat this, of course, as many times as you want. And we do. Of course, it's international potential in this way of working as well. The international EV car market is not taken yet, so just saying. Well, as I said, I'm a tech CEO and I'm a developer in background and a journalist, so I ended up as CEO in this publishing platform that we call Labrador. And one thing, well, we spent 13 years on perfectioning this platform. We were way too early for working in this new way. At least we think is the new way. Completely SaaS. Well, the former speaker here was talking about how you should obsess about WordPress. Well, you don't need WordPress and you don't need developers to do a really, really, really professional online newspaper these days. You can buy your paywall, your stat platform, your email platform, and you don't need to have 50, 100 developers like you used to. So I'll just finish up by showing you just a brief example of how we edit our 230 online newspapers now. So this is just 2 seconds of an example of how the reporters can see the article on the right here and can do stuff with the pictures and effects in a visual way. So this, you can't do this with Next.js, but you can do this if you have a complete system. And we publish 15,000 articles a month in this system now. 15,000 a month. So, and we also export this stuff to print. So this is what I do, and this is what I wanted to show you. So, and that was the story behind the 80K article. So if you want to chat with me about paywalls or content or CMSs, please do. This is my LinkedIn. If you take a photo of that, we'll be friends.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a huge round of applause